Hi, I'm Joseph Phillips. I teach project management on Udemy. A question that I receive from a lot of learners is, what's up with Agile? Or I'm interested in Agile. Or what is iterative and incremental versus predictive? Well, what we're talking about here is Agile, and probably you're talking about Scrum. Now, Agile is one of those big umbrella terms that describe a lot of different philosophies or methodologies to doing project management, and typically it's in software development. The most common is Scrum, but we also have different flavors like Kanban and Crystal and Lean and a few others. But let's look at Scrum. I think it's probably the most common that you'll encounter as a project manager or in an Agile environment. In Scrum, we begin with this idea of a product backlog. The product backlog is really a big list of requirements. It's everything that might go into the project. So it's a big list of all of those requirements. And those requirements are often written as a user story. The product owner is a role in Agile or in Scrum that's responsible for prioritizing the product backlog. The team and the product owner will work together to choose what are the most important things from that list in the product backlog that they can do in the next chunk of the project. And that next chunk is called a sprint. And a sprint will typically last from 1 to 4 weeks. Usually it's 4 weeks. So the team then will say, this is how much work based on our capacity that we can get done in the next sprint. The team will then look at the task breakout. They'll make a sprint backlog of who's going to do what and all of the things they have to get done within that sprint. And then they go about doing the work. Once we enter the sprint, no new work can come into the sprint. We have a set list. Now you can add changes back in the product backlog, but you can't add any changes to the sprint. That's one of our rules. Once we're in sprint, no new work can be introduced. Every 24 hours, the team and the Scrum Master get together and they talk about, what did you do yesterday? What am I going to do today? And are there any impediments or roadblocks that prevent me from moving forward? And that's called the daily stand-up or your Scrum meeting, a daily Scrum. And it lasts for 15 minutes, and it's really to the point. We just answer those 3 questions. The Scrum Master then helps organize the work or challenge any impediments that's keeping the team from moving forward. They just make sure that everyone's following the rules, generally. Then at the end of our sprint, we have finished work. So our finished work then is the results of that sprint. Our finished work will then be shown by the project team in the sprint review, not the Scrum Master. The team will show the product owner, maybe some key stakeholders, what we've accomplished and what's been done in the last 4 weeks in that sprint. The next meeting is called the Sprint Retrospective. And that's really for just the Scrum Master and the team and the product owner. In the Sprint Retrospective, we talk about what worked well, what didn't work well, and how can we improve upon our activities so that in the next sprint, we can immediately make adjustments and perform better. Rather than in a predictive environment where we do lessons learned at the end, well, we can't apply those to our current project. So in Scrum, we have opportunities for improvement throughout the project, and that's the Sprint Retrospective. After the Sprint Retrospective, we start the whole cycle over and we go back to our sprint planning with the product backlog and the product owner and that set list of prioritized requirements. So that's a really big picture of Scrum. So you might want to know that if you're going into an Agile environment or you're pursuing a certification like the Professional Scrum Master or the PMI Agile Certified Practitioner. All right, great job. Keep moving forward.